Coach, you opened conference play this week with a 2-0 loss to DBU and then a 1-1 draw at home against Lubbock Christian. Just talk about what you saw from your team in the opening 2 matches of conference play.
Well, the first thing to start with is just Dallas Baptist and the quality that they have, and what we've had in the past, and be able to counteract that. And right now, we graduated last year. We said this before. We graduated 11 players, 3 fifth-year girls, which we don't really do very often. We don't have that many fifth-year seniors. And so you graduate 3 of them, and they're really important in your leadership. It affects it. And, we also had just played in Colorado, made that 12, 13-hour bus ride home, and then we come home, do laundry, jump on the bus back to go to DBU. So all excuses, but all reasons too. And we performed, we just don't have the attacking power that we want up front right now. And we're working on trying to develop that. And against DBU was tough. Just they're so fast, so good on the ball, that we were on our heels a lot of the game. Having said that, the first goal that they score is just a bomb from 30 yards out that hits off the inside of the post and goes across the face of the goal. So, I don't think that it's not that Mel did something wrong. Maybe we should have been pressuring the ball better, but it's just not as good as we had hoped for. And then against Lubbock Christian is a team, even last year, physical, a team that's on the rise. They've got a new coach, 2nd year now, and they were combative and they were physical and all the things that they needed to do. And I thought we played well enough to get a result, but we just, again, don't have the finishing. We had something like 19 shots in the game, and I think that 3 or 4 of them were on goal. So it's just that work in progress of trying to find somebody else to play up front. Emily Thames has played up there, and she's still a work in progress. We have Grayson, who, I don't know, it's not really an injury. She doesn't have everything in her knee that she needs, and is doing her best. And so that's been a challenge for us, and it's certainly something that we're trying to overcome. And the goal that we gave up on Saturday was just a tough one. Didn't clear the ball right, and then the player's just a couple of feet away from Mel, and basically she has to take it off the chest is what we wanted to do, is step forward and take that shot off her chest or off her body. And she kind of stayed there and then guessed and moved. And so I can understand why she did that. And it's one of those things that'll be a good learning experience for her. But on the positive side, she also saved a penalty kick at the very end of the first half, which could have changed the mentality of the game the whole way. So there were some goods and bads. It's still a draw. It's not what we want to do at home. So we're going to work on it again a couple more days here, today and tomorrow, to get our attack better against St. Ed's and continue to work on solving the problem.
You pretty much already mentioned it, but just going forward, what must be done on both sides of the ball, offense, defense, to establish all-around consistency, especially as conference play heats up?
Yeah. One of the things that has to happen is our defending just needs to understand that that's their job, and whether we're dominating teams and they don't have to do much, or in the instance right now where we're not dominating, but we need them to be close to perfect. We need them to pitch a shutout in as many games as possible. And we've been close, we've done that in a couple, but we need to continue to develop in that. And obviously too, that was another thing too, without Tina there, serving her game suspension, that's a little bit different. And so Rylan, who had been sick the week before and hasn't played, more than probably 30 minutes, something like that, and now she's expected to go in and start and play 90 minutes. That comes with the job, but it's a tough situation for a young kid. She's a sophomore. It's a tough situation to walk into and say, here you go, here's the responsibility that you have. But the defense needs to continue to improve and develop, just as the attack needs to get better. But the attack is going to help us to take off some pressure off the defense. But yeah, it's both parts working in tandem and trying to get the W.
You mentioned the attack several times. You have St. Edward's next. What must be done, especially besides attacking, what must be done to secure your first home win of the season?
I think some of the things that we can do is be better on our set pieces. Those are chances where we have some pretty tall girls that I think are good in the air, and I think that they have underperformed on set pieces. And that's not a knock. I think that I'm just saying that they can go in and make an impact on those. And even if you're a defender, listen, that's how Tina, I think, last year got consideration to be an All-American, was that she had stats and goals on set pieces, and we're going to need that from our players. So that would be another thing that we'll do, is try and work on our set pieces a bit more and see if we can't generate some chances from those, because those are things that we can script out and try and really work on and get better with. So those will be some things we do on Tuesday, probably again on Thursday, Today we need to play. We've got recruits on campus as well, so there's a lot going on. But I think that, I don't know if that answered your question. Probably went off on a tandem there, but what was the part of your question? The second?
All I said was you mentioned attacking. What else must be done on the field to secure your first home win?
Okay, so getting better in set pieces would help us. Getting better just in the attack and the flow of the game. And then I think the other part that's going to be important is stopping Anna Roach from St. Ed's. She's, I think, the preseason forward of the year, and I think she scored a couple goals this last weekend. So yeah, she's a good attacking player. I think we'll match up well with them as far as overall, but that one piece, that one difference up front, we want to make sure that we don't let that be the difference in the game.
Coach, you talk about improving that attack after, replacing some of the girls from last year's team. How much does that come with just instilling confidence in those girls to actually just be aggressive and go for it?
Confidence is a funny thing. A lot of players think that it's determined by the coach. They think it's determined by stats and this and that, but really confidence has to do with the player. And so I don't know that we can develop that confidence. I think we can reinforce things when they go right. But for a player to have confidence, it's not about just accepting when they do something right. It's about when they have failures and how do they critique and how do they move on. So do they just look at that instance and say, well, that was just a weird thing and I'll just let it go? Or do they put in extra work and get better at the things that they've made mistakes in? So confidence is a tricky topic to discuss, I think today more so than ever with student athletes. So I think that they have much more control than they give themselves credit for. And that's in part, I think, sometimes it's a bit of a defense mechanism, when things don't go right, to talk about what else happened, rather than looking internally first, which is what I think my generation grew up doing, was that anytime there was a mistake, it was me. It never had anything to do with the coaching or my teammates or anything like that. And so this is something that they're learning.
Coach, walk me through, I know the record overall is not where you would have wanted to be at the start of this year, but you're 6 matches in. Is there anybody who may have been excelling at what you expect them to do, or maybe just doing good within you and Harold's eyes thus far this season?
Yeah, I think that, Whitney Newble has come in. I think that she would be the first to tell you, she needs to work on her technical ability, but her work rate and her tenacity when we don't have the ball, I think is really good. We've just got to get her first touch a little bit cleaner when she's out wide and when she does get behind the last defender, be able to get those crosses in accurately. But she's certainly had a good start, relatively speaking. She's done half of her job really well. We've got to get that other half to be a little bit better. Emily Jones, I think she's a sophomore, played here and there last year, bits and pieces, and she's been one that we're leaning on heavily. I think that she overall has done well. She's got to be a little bit more refined in the attacking third. In the attacking third, she gets a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, and tends to go backwards with her passes rather than forwards with her passes. Mel's a senior, redshirt junior, and has not gotten a ton of time prior to this, and have her step in, make that penalty kick save. She made some other good saves in that game. Also made some really good saves in the second half against DBU. So I think that she's had a good start. I think Harper's done really well. If we look at the DBU game, if you look on body language and appearance, Harper ran her socks off against DBU. She was drenched in sweat. I know she gave everything that she had in that game, and so I'm pleased with that. And when you're struggling, that's what you need. The best way to work through things is to work through things, and she's done a good job for us in that.
And then you already touched on your matchup with St. Edwards on Wednesday night at home, but then on Saturday you're on the road traveling to Oklahoma City or Edmond to take on Oklahoma Christian. So what do you expect from that matchup specifically?
I think that a lot of these teams are going to kind of be where, not necessarily where we're at because they have different players, but I don't think that they're, I think that the level is much more even than we think, but we're in a little bit of, my gosh, we haven't done what we expect to do kind of situation. But I don't think when I look around the conference, I think that there's a couple teams that really are on point and have everything going right for them. But I think that there are some too, based on their non-conference schedule, they put in some games that maybe weren't the toughest games for strength of schedule. And so it builds their confidence as far as, they've scored some goals and they've gotten some wins. But I don't think that they're like leaps and heads and shoulders above us and what we're doing. So I think these are all games. Lubbock Christian, again, another one, similar work rate, the technical ability, similar. And so it may just come down to a player or two or a situation or two making the difference. And certainly we're at home on Wednesday, and so far at home we have a loss and 2 draws. And that's not what we expect, and that's not what we want from our team. So hopefully we do things in training to fix that this week and get back on the right path on Wednesday night.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Jeff.